Welcome back to Guitar Theory Modules. This is Module 75 and we're on pages 184 through 188. In the last few modules of this book, we're going to study chord extensions starting with the 9th chord. In the first part of this lesson, I'm going to show you how to recognize and write 9th chords, and in the last part of this lesson, I'm going to show you how to play movable 9th chords across the fretboard. So far you've studied triads and 7th chords, which all consist of thirds stacked on top of each other. Chord extensions are also stacked in third, and as with extended intervals, chord extensions are named this way because they go beyond the octave as you keep stacking those thirds up. When you stack triads and 7th chords in thirds, all of the notes are going to fall within an octave of the root. Once you stack up enough thirds, you start extending beyond the octave, and all these chord extensions are stacked up in thirds beyond an octave above the root. There are several types of chord extensions, but you don't have to learn them all at once. These modules focus on constructing and playing the most common types. The most common extension is the 9th chord, which is an extension of the dominant 7 chord. To learn how to extend a dominant 7 chord into a 9th chord, let's take a look at the G7, which is the dominant of C major. To change this G7 to a G9 chord, we're going to add another third on top of the G7, and this is very important, using only the notes from the C major scale, or the scale that it's the dominant of. In this case, the 7th of a G7 chord is an F, and a third above that note in the key of C is an A. And if you stack all those notes up together, you get a G9 chord. And notice that this new note in the chord is a 9th above the root. I'm going to show you two ways you can construct 9th chords. The first way is to write a dominant 7 chord and then add a major third above the 7th of that chord. So let's say we wanted to build a C9 chord. The first thing we would do is write a C7 chord. That's going to be C, E, G, and B flat. Our next step is to add a major third above the 7th of the chord. The 7th is B flat. A major third above that is D. Stack that D on top of a C7 chord, and we have a C9 chord. C, E, G, B flat, and D. Unless you see a sharp or flat in front of the 9th in a chord name, the 9th of a dominant 9 chord is always going to be a major 9th above the root of the chord. Since you know that the 9th of a 9th chord is always going to be a major 9th above the root, another way you can construct a 9th chord is to write a dominant 7th chord and then add a major 9th above the root. We're going to build a C9 again, but we're going to use this method. First, we write a C7 chord, C, E, G, and B flat, and then we add a major 9th above the root. The root is C. A major 9th above that C is this D. Stack those all up and you have a C9. C, E, G, B flat, and D. So it's a different approach from the first way, but it's the same result. And remember that a major 9th interval is a major second raised an octave. So if you're still working on remembering your major and minor 9th intervals, you can write a major second above the root and then raise that note an octave to find the major 9th. At the bottom of page 186, we have this exercise in constructing 9th chords. Your job is to construct these 9th chords using one of the two methods we just talked about. For numbers 1 through 5, I'm going to use the first method where we add a major third above the 7th of a dominant 7 chord. And then for 6 through 9, I'm going to use method number 2 where we write a dominant 7th chord and then we add a major 9 above the root. If you have a copy of Guitar Theory Modules, you can write your answers right there in the book and check your work on page 230. Your chords may appear in a different octave than mine, and that's okay. If you don't have a copy of Guitar Theory Modules, you're going to need some manuscript paper to write on. I've got some free manuscript paper you can download from my website. The link is in the description. I'm going to go over the answers now, so pause the video, write your answers, start the video, and check your work. Numbers 1 through 5, I'm going to stack a major third on top of the 7th chord to come up with our 9th chord. Number 1, D9. First write a D7 chord. That's going to be D, F sharp, A, and C. Then we stack a major third on top of the 7th of the chord. The 7th is C, a major third above that is E. Stack all those notes together and you have a D9, D, F sharp, A, C, and E. Number 2, F9. First write an F7 chord. That's going to be F, A, C, and E flat. Then we add a major third on top of the 7th. The 7th is E flat. Major third above that is G. Stack all those notes on top of each other. We have F, A, C, E flat, and G. F9. Number 3, B flat 9. First write a B flat 7 chord. That's going to be B flat, D, F, and A flat. Then we add a major third above the 7th of the chord. The 7th is A flat. A major third above that is C. Stack those notes all together. We have B flat, D, F, A flat, and C, or B flat 9. Number 4, E9. First write an E7 chord. That's going to be E, G sharp, B, and D. Then we add a major third above the 7th of the chord. The 7th is D. Major third above that is F sharp. Stack all those notes together. You have E, G sharp, B, D, and F sharp, or E9. Number 5, G9. First write a G7 chord. That's going to be G, B, D, and F. Then we add a major third above the 7th of the chord. The 7th is F. A major third above that is A. Stack those notes all together. You have G, B, D, F, and A, or G9. For numbers 6 through 9, we're going to write a dominant 7 chord and then add a major 9 above the root. So number 6, A flat 9. First write an A flat 7 chord. That's going to be A flat, C, E flat, and G flat. Then we add a major 9th above the root. The root is A flat. Major 9th above that is B flat. Stack them all up. We have A flat, C, E flat, G flat, and B flat, or A flat 9. Number 7, C9. First write a C7 chord. That's going to be C, E, G, and B flat. Then we add a major 9th above the root of the chord. The root is C. Major 9th above that is this D. Stack them all up. C, E, G, B flat, and D, C9. Number 8, E flat 9. First write an E flat 7 chord. That's going to be E flat, G, B flat, and D flat. Then we add a major 9th above the root of the chord. The root, of course, is E flat. Major 9th above that is this F. Stack them all up. We have E flat, G, B flat, D flat, and F, or E flat 9. And number 9, B9. First write a B7 chord. That's going to be B, D sharp, F sharp, and A. Then we add a major 9th above the root. The root, of course, is B. Major 9th above that B is this C sharp. Stack them all up. We have B, D sharp, F sharp, A, and C sharp, B9. Being able to write 9th chords is well and good, but you want to be able to play them on the guitar as well. So I'm going to show you a fairly easy movable 9th chord you can play with a root on the 5th string. So we have finger 2 playing the root on the 5th string. Finger 1 is playing the 3rd. Finger 3 is playing the 7th. Finger 4 is playing the 9th. And we are muting the 1st string and the 6th string. Because there are no open strings, this is a movable chord shape. This happens to be an E flat 9 that I'm playing because I'm placing the root of this shape on the E flat, string 5, fret 6. If I were to move it down a fret, now my root is on the 5th fret, which is going to be a D. Now we have a D9. And now if I were to move it one more fret, now we have a D flat 9 or C sharp 9, depending on how you think of it. You may have noticed that the 5th of this chord shape is missing. We have a root, 3rd, a 7th, and a 9. No 5th. Remember that the guitar player has 4 fingers to work with, but this chord has 5 notes. Now we could do some barring and play a complete 9th chord, but we want to be practical about this. Plus, when you start learning 11th and 13th chords, we're going to be adding more and more notes. So what we're going to be doing with these chords is leaving some notes out while we retain the most important ones. The best way to practice 9th chords is to play them as often as you can. So of course, play a 9th chord in your music when you see it. Also remember that the 9th chord is an extension of the dominant 7th chord. So if you see a 7th chord, try playing a 9th chord instead. Sometimes you like the way it sounds, sometimes you won't, but you won't know until you try. Don't forget to check out my book, Guitar Theory Modules. Of course, you can watch all these videos for free, but if you have a copy of Guitar Theory Modules, you're going to have all this information in one place. It's going to be a lot easier to follow along, so I'll leave a link in the description. Take your time with this, and then when you're ready, I'll see you in Module 76, where I'm going to show you the 7 sharp 9 and 7 flat 9 chords.